You are not reading this. You are consuming it. A digital phantom haunting the corridors of the algorithm, seeking something real. Yet, every swipe is just another layer of anesthetic. You are scrolling to forget. Forget that the bank account is low, that the job is a simulation, that the connection is superficial. But most of all, you are scrolling to forget it. We have become master builders. We build empires of digital reputation. We construct monuments to our potential futures. When I get that promotion, when I meet that person, when I finally start living. We architect complex narratives, casting ourselves as the hero, the martyr, the misunderstood genius. We live in a perpetual not yet. The great paradox of your life is that you behave as though you have forever, precisely because you are terrified that you do not. Your ambition is often nothing more than a desperate attempt to outrun the shadow that began following you the moment you were born. We define success by what we accumulate, what we claim as ours. But what happens when the final audit comes? When the lights fade, and the script is over? What if I told you that you are already living your own ghost story? That the most significant thing you will ever build is not your wealth, your family, or your career? What if your greatest achievement is not what you create, but how you meet your collapse? This isn't a motivational speech. This is a confrontation with the only reality you've spent your life ignoring. Welcome to the end of your story. Imagine you are standing in a city that is simultaneously familiar and alien. It's a parallel reflection of your own world. You know the streets, but the air is thinner, colder. You are not yourself here, you are an observer. A phantom frequency. You are drawn, as if by magnetic pull, to a cemetery on the edge of the city. Rain is falling, slicking the granite paths. You hear the rhythmic patter, a collective weeping of the sky. You navigate the maze of headstones until you find them. A gathering. Family. Friends. Colleagues. Even people you only knew vaguely. They are standing around a fresh void in the earth. The atmosphere is heavy with the scent of damp wool, wet earth, and grief. And then, you realize whose name is on the stone. It's yours. You are attending your own funeral. You look around, expecting a grand revelation, a burst of cinematic insight. But instead, you are struck by a terrifying banality. You are standing behind them, but they cannot see you. They look older. More tired. The speeches begin. The elegies. You prepare yourself for the final assessment. Your old boss stands up. He speaks of unrealized potential, of projects completed on time, of being a valuable asset to the team. He reads from a script. It's empty. It's corporate. He is eulogizing your compliance, not your spirit. You realize with a start that you were nothing more than a productive gear in a machine that has already replaced you. Next, your best friend. They can barely speak. Their eulogy isn't about your achievements. It's about the Tuesday night you stayed up until 3 a.m., just listening. It's about the jokes only you two understood. It's about the time you were present. Their words are raw, messy, and real. You see the pain of your absence, the precise shape of the hole you left. Then, your parents, or perhaps a sibling. They speak of the child you were, the dreams you had. They speak of the expectations they placed upon you, and the regret they feel for never having truly seen you, beneath the masks of achievement. You stand there, a phantom frequency, listening to the final edit of your life. The achievements you sacrificed sleep, love, and integrity for are dismissed in seconds. But the fleeting moments of presence, of kindness, of raw vulnerability, these are the things they hold on to like drowning men gripping debris. You look down at your phantom hands. You realize that you didn't have a life. Your life had you. And now, the credit roll has started, and you cannot edit the film. This paralysis you feel is the essence of a profound philosophical truth, masterfully articulated by Martin Heidegger. He called it Sein-zum-Tode. In English, we translate it as being towards death. Heidegger wasn't a morbid existentialist obsessed with gore or the afterlife. He was a philosopher of being. He argued that to truly understand what it means to exist, we must first confront the absolute certainty of our non-existence. Most people think of death as a future event, an inconvenient reality that will, someday, stop the clock. But Heidegger argued this is a fundamental error. Death is not an event, it is a structure of your existence right now. It is the ultimate possibility that defines every other possibility. Death is the final boundary, the ultimate limit case. It is the possibility of the impossibility of any further existence. It is the one thing no one else can do for you. Someone can love you, die for you, work for you, but they cannot die your death. This realization is the key. Heidegger believed that as long as we treat death as a distant future event, we are living inauthentically. We fall into what he called the they, das Man. We follow the scripts written by society, culture, the asset managers from our parable. We defer living because we believe we have endless time to correct the course. But when you truly grasp Sein-zum-Tode, when you accept that your annihilation is guaranteed and could happen at any moment, the illusion of not yet shatters. This brings us to a crucial philosophical tension. On one hand, we have this intense, individualistic confrontation with non-existence. This sounds incredibly bleak. It sounds like nihilism. If the end is certain and final, if all my efforts vanish, then what is the point of any effort at all? Why not just surrender to the void? This is the whisper of nihilism. But look at it from another angle. The Stoic perspective, often summed up by Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, love of fate. This is not the desire to die, but the absolute acceptance of the reality as it is. If you love your fate, you love the fact that it is finite. You don't love it despite the death, but because of it. The Stoic does not fear the limit, they revere it. Why? Because the limit is what gives the contents meaning. Imagine a glass of water. It is the very fact that the glass has edges that allows the water to be contained, to be drank, to quench your thirst. Without the glass, the water is just a useless, amorphous mess on the floor. Death is the glass. Your life is the water. The finiteness of the vessel is what gives the contents its value. So, we are trapped between the two. One philosophy tells us to stare into the void and be paralyzed by the pointlessness of it all. The other tells us to love the void and embrace the finite as the ultimate source of meaning. Heidegger wasn't calling us to choose. He was calling us to wake up. The legacy you seek is not something you leave behind when you die. It is something you are constructing every time you choose how to live, knowing that death is certain. Authentic existence is the result of using the knowledge of your impending non-existence as a filter. It is the ability to walk through your life and relentlessly ask, if I were attending my own funeral tomorrow, would this moment, this ambition, this resentment, would any of it matter? How do we convert this powerful philosophical theory into action? How do we build a legacy that matters before the final edit? We must move from the what of accumulation to the how of interaction. This requires a fundamental reframing, a restructuring perspective. We must use death, not as a source of fear, but as a source of clarity. A master carver doesn't look at a block of marble and worry about the pieces they will lose, they focus on the specific shape they are revealing. You must be the carver, and death is the tool that forces you to define your masterpiece. Let's test this with a formula. If we fully accept Sein-zum-Tode, if we acknowledge that our time is absolute and finite, then the energy we invest in worrying about problem Y suddenly becomes. Let's apply it. If we accept that we are fundamentally beings towards death, then the paralyzing energy we spend worrying about other people's expectations suddenly becomes a grotesque misappropriation of our final resource. When you are the ghost at your own funeral, do you care if you got that promotion because you played the corporate game, or do you care that you had the courage to speak your truth? Death dissolves the false gods of external validation. This clarity forces you to sort the trivial from the essential. The trivial is everything that is dependent on the they, on das Man. It is the pursuit of status for status' sake, the holding of grudges, the accumulation of digital approval, the fear of failing at tasks that won't matter in 6 months. These are the things that produce the corporate eulogy. The essential is everything that is derived from presence and authenticity. It is the ability to be truly present with another person, the courage to express genuine emotion, the pursuit of work that makes you feel more alive, the integrity to live by your own values, even when no one is watching. These are the things that produce the raw, messy, real eulogy. To live authentically, Heidegger believed, is to anticipate your death. This means you do not wait for the terminal diagnosis to change your life. You change your life right now precisely because you do not have a terminal diagnosis yet. You have time. And time is the canvas upon which you paint. This is the power of filtering. You are the editor of your own film. When you look at an activity, a resentment, or an ambition, ask yourself, is this an essential moment, or is it filler? If this moment were my final moment, is this how I would choose to experience the mystery of existence? This isn't about being productive in the corporate sense. It's about being alive in the spiritual sense. We started by scrolling to forget the silence. But the silence is not the enemy. It is the canvas. The final narrative is not written when you take your last breath. It is being written in this very moment, by the decisions you make and the moments you allow yourself to truly experience. Death is not the enemy. Death is the bell that calls us to prayer, the prayer of the present moment. It is the strict accountant that demands we spend our minutes with the utmost intentionality. You have seen the ghost at your own funeral. You have heard the final assessment. The script is not yet finalized. The actors are still on stage. Heidegger called us to authentic existence. The Stoics called us to love our fate. The parable called you to see what truly remains. The choice is simple, but terrifying. Will you continue to be an asset to the algorithm, architecting a phantom success? Or will you embrace the beautiful, finite reality of your collapsing existence, and become the authentic ghost that will be truly, deeply missed? The clock is ticking. You are not reading this. You are living it. What will your next frame be?